Hey, welcome to episode 5, right, of the Mammoth Press arcade cabinet build, where I get to start painting on this bad boy. Only a little bit is different since we last chatted. I've rounded out some of the corners with a sander. I use like an 80 grit to round out the corners on the end, and a lot of that is just because it's easier for the trim molding to set in. Sharper right angles are more difficult for it to set, and I don't know, it just doesn't agree much. So most of those more sharper right angles, I just rounded them off a little bit. That one's probably fine. So all that mess that I promised I was going to clean up, I totally did, I promised, but then I kind of made more by making a last minute adjustment and sanding. Over there, you can see. Last night though, I did run into a situation with this bottom panel that I didn't really plan for. And it simply came down to the options of what hinges I had to make, almost make that a door. I actually originally planned to put a hinge on the right side here, like a couple hinges, and just make this, like, you know, openable so that, you know, you can get in there. I don't really know what I was going to put in there. I figured that I could put the subwoofer on the floor, but I probably end up putting it like up here on this top deck anyways. So it didn't really matter because it'll be directly like in your center. So ultimately what happened is I had to make a decision because of these. You can actually see just how deep that router cut is. Now it's perfectly fine. I'm confident that it's not going to cause any problems. However, it is deeper than I expected. I could probably have gotten away with doing that like half that depth. So the issue that I ran into is that if I were to mount heavy duty hinges on this edge here, like right along in here, I'd have to put several, or really heavy duty, with bigger screws than I felt comfortable on using on MDF that's cut in half so deeply. So I decided to make a designer's change, and instead of making it a door that opens, I sized it just right to where it sit flush, and I bolted the crap out of it. I put 2 screws on the side, put 3 on the bottom, and secured it in. And so now it's a permanent piece, which is fine. I'm not really worried about it. Also, something that was kind of disappointing is the same issue with the back that I had originally going to make a big door to mount on the side. I had that long piano hinge that I showed you a couple of times, and it was perfect size for the 5/8 inch thick wall that was going to be there, and then the hinge was about 1/2 inch. It was going to sit perfectly. However, it was too perfect. In order for me to put a hinge that was going to support enough weight for an entire 5/8 thick door at 42 inches long, I was going to need a lot more meat here than what this took away from me. I needed a lot more, you know, dependability in this. I didn't feel comfortable with how thick this was, how deep this was. So I decided that I'm just going to use these brackets as guides, and I'm going to screw them into place by those. And I mean, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of cabinets are set up that way. And again, I really won't have anything to really depend on needing quick access to. Everything will be pretty small, pretty easily accessible. Anyways, what I'm going to do is, because it's pretty late tonight, I'm going to just put the first coat, maybe first 2 coats on tonight. This thing will probably take like 4 maybe coats, maybe 5. And I'm going to do it with this. This is my spray gun. Basically, it's just this tub of black, right? And it's kind of like a big hair dryer, like a massive blower that takes in ink, or, well, I'm sorry, print industry, paint, and then just blast it in a cone. And it gets really good coverage. My wife and I have actually been using this to disassemble and paint all of our cabinets in our kitchen, and it works really well. It works really good. I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to turn out, because I'm using a Valspar high gloss acrylic black. Like I at the very least, I figured, you know, if I can't decide entirely on the artwork I want, I figured that having it just black at the very least will look really sharp. So if I decide to add vinyl to it later, I totally will. I might actually just leave it black with the chrome trim and it'll look real sharp. I might add the Mammoth Press, the orange and white logo that you see on everything that I do. I may turn that. It is the Mammoth cabinet, so I might just do that. I got plenty of options in future builds to explore the artwork. And I'll probably do an episode of me just playing with the artwork, because I have all the artwork done. So I could probably just go upstairs and in the office and walk you through the art. But for now, I'm just gonna get a coat or two of this black paint. It's gonna look completely different. Well, I mean, a little different. It'll look cooler for sure next time you see it. But I'm gonna switch this camera now to front view so that I can kind of see myself in the shot, and I'm not gonna sit there and I'm not gonna make you sit there and watch me paint all of this. So all the footage I get of me doing this I'm gonna speed it up. I'm gonna edit it upstairs and then post it probably tomorrow morning when it's all done. Nothing too elaborate yet, but you know, when I start doing the office design stuff, all the artwork, and all the computer Raspberry Pi stuff, that's when you're going to see some increased production value. Anyway, I'm going to set this down. I'm going to switch it to front view, and then we'll get started. Hey, welcome back. This is in front view. I'm going to probably play with the shot a little bit more, but before I get started, before we start unleashing this bad boy, keep in mind that there's a lot of paint that gets sprayed around. I mean, there's air circulating all over the place. It's always smart to wear a mask. Now, I'm supposed to have these weird ventilators things with the huge gas mask, like canisters on them. Those are few and far between, as you can imagine these days. But at least something helps. It's better than nothing. And that paint gets in your nose really easily. Like just your standard mask isn't enough sometimes. Those paper masks, I've used those and I still get paint up in my nose. So I guess what I'm gonna try to do today, there goes my glasses. I'm gonna try to use one of these cool, like, I don't know, I found these ninja masks, right? And I tried it once. Cool ninja mask, or a chicken mask, I don't know. Anyways, I used one of these alone by itself, and it was still got paint. Like, paint's pretty thick. Paint particles are pretty thick, and it still got it in your face. So, up in my sinuses and up in my nose. So I had to improvise and add a little something extra, and this made a big difference. Just one of these little quarantine masks. Now this is not my quarantine mask. Well, if I can get it to work. Mine actually caters to my beard. It's actually a mask a friend of mine had made. She actually runs a shop called A Wench in the Gear on C Street. She's not sponsoring me or anything. It's just that she took a Crown Royal bag and she catered it to my beard. I told her, I was like, I really don't want to get rid of my beard, but I might have to. And she goes, hold on, I got an idea. And now she's making them left and right. She's got them for normal face people. She got them for bearded people, but walking around with a Crown Royal bag strapped to my face with the nose bar and the ventilation, and it nicely cups my goods, you know what I mean? It's I get a lot of compliments. So, Wench in the Gear on C Street. Her name's CC Guys. She's she saved the beard and thus saved my life. Anyways, back to this. I'm gonna try and put this on first. It's gonna be a little uncomfortable. Most of them are, but too bad. It's worth it. Put that on. Get my Mortal Kombat on, and then I'm gonna put this on over my head now. Between these two, this should be enough to keep the paint out of my nose. But hey, I'll look damn cool doing it, right? Ow. Sorry guys. I'm not good at masking. I would not cut it in Mortal Kombat. Alright. So, as awkward as this is, it's worth it. Alright, so, alright, good. I double racked this rascal. Now we're ready to paint. Now I'm going to go ahead and probably speed up this video from here on so that if I say anything or talk, you're probably just going to hear little mouse squeaks, whatever. I'll stop it whenever it's necessary. All right. I got anything in my nose? Can you tell? Ah, screw it. Anyways, let's take a look. It's already looking pretty good. And this is just the first coat. That gun has some pretty wild coverage, but it hits pretty hard. And which is something that I actually opened it up for, because I wanted to create, you know, like a texture to it. I mean, in the light, some of it's already kind of drying already. You can kind of see. It looks weird right now, but the thing is that MDF is it's gonna absorb a lot of moisture, and so it looks like it's kind of dripping. But that'll actually even out. And most of it, I actually jacked it up pretty high so that it actually creates like this texture. You see that? So I'm doing this texture with the paint. And then there's Coleman. Hi, dude.
I noticed that I looked like a Ninja Turtle with this on.
You do, man. I like that mask. Actually, let's get a closer look at that. That's cool. It's a good thing you weren't wearing it just a minute ago. I had black paint smeared all over the place. Pretty righteous. But there's cloth on the inside, right? Yeah. Can you show me what's on the inside? Yeah, see, we're responsible. Cool mask, dude. Is it comfortable?
Yeah.
Good.
What's that?
What do you mean, what's what?
That.
You know what this is?
Well, it looks like a camera.
Yeah.
What for?
I'm recording a video.
How?
So, as you can see, this is coating one of the paint. I'll probably give it a rest tonight and let it dry. It's still really wet. But I think I got that texture down that I was looking for. You see that? See that? It looks all spackled and everything. Don't touch it though.
It's still wet.
Yeah, it's still really wet. Yeah, it makes a mess. But the good news is with this acrylic stuff, like some rubbing alcohol, we'll actually take it off of most surfaces. So, I mean, it's easy to clean up. I probably got about three or four more coats, and then we'll call it good. In the meantime, while it's drying, I'm gonna keep playing with it, and I'll be setting up the Raspberry Pi here shortly. So we'll have some office time. I'll give you a tour of the Mammoth office, and so for episode, I guess this is 5, so yeah, that might be episode 6.